This is the brand new Mercedes-Benz E-Class, and unlike a lot of new Mercedes-Benz, it's not an EV. Yes, there's still an engine under the hood, but what makes this car interesting is what's going on inside the cabin. This is the first Mercedes-Benz with an integrated selfie camera, and the first car in the world with TikTok, WebEx, and Zoom right there in the cockpit. What's that like? Let's take it for a drive and find out. The E-Class is Mercedes' middle-tier premium sedan, slotting in above the smaller C-Class and below the bigger S-Class. But for 2024, the E-Class itself has grown about a half an inch in length, with the wheelbase growing almost a full inch, giving significantly more room in the cabin. That's wrapped in a new body that's certainly not a radical departure from the outgoing model by any means, but is a bit more upright and stately, yet still shapely, and I think quite attractive. We'll get two flavors in the US, the 4-cylinder E350, and the more powerful inline-6 E450, which has 375 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. While both are internal combustion, they're also both hybrid, so they're at least electrified, though not full electric. Heading out on the road in the new Mercedes-Benz E-Class, and interestingly, Mercedes didn't actually give me a key for this thing, at least not a typical key. They gave me this iPhone instead. This iPhone is the key for this E-Class. You can use any iOS device, even an Apple Watch if you like, to unlock your car. I'm tapping to my watch, which is not an Apple Watch, but if you had an Apple Watch, you could unlock your car with it. Unfortunately, or annoyingly, you cannot do that with any Android device yet, but Mercedes-Benz did encourage me, or assure me, I should say, that this technology is coming to Android devices down the road. So those of you, like I am, are on Android, look forward to that in the hopefully not too distant future. But overall, my experience so far is that this is very much a typical E-Class, which is to say smooth and comfortable and quiet, basically everything that you would expect. And the extra dimensions that Mercedes-Benz added to this, you can definitely feel it here in the cockpit. It's very light, very roomy. I've got the panoramic moon roof open, which is giving me some nice lighting in here as well. And it's very comfortable. Most of the place that you're going to see that extra room, though, is in the trunk. The trunk is significantly larger, up almost 50% over the outgoing E-Class, which was honestly one of the biggest detractors from the E-Class. You know, a typical full-size sedan, you want something really roomy that you can put a lot of luggage in and go away for a week with the family. Now you can reasonably do that in the E-Class, which is great. But of course, we're more interested in the technology, and here we have a new display system that's similar to what we see in the S-Class and the EQS and a few other Mercedes-Benz cars. There they call it Hyperscreen. Here we have Super Screen. Why not Hyper? Well, because we're down to two integrated displays here beneath one pane of glass, rather than the three displays that we see on the S-Class. And the S-Class is just one big glass with three OLED displays that are all kind of mixed together, so you can kind of barely tell them apart. Here it's just really two displays, one for the passenger, one here in the middle, and then a separate gauge cluster on the left. We've got a 12.3-inch display gauge cluster here in front of me, a separate 12.3-inch display on the right, and in the middle is a 14.3-inch display for both driver and passenger. Now, unlike with Hyperscreen, these are not OLED displays, these are LCDs this time, but still they're bright and lovely, and they look very good even in bright sunlight here. And there's some other cool stuff that I'll show you about, but we got to pull over to do that a little bit more safely. We've pulled over on the side of the road, and I'm going to give you a demo of some of the more interesting things that you can do through the MBUX user interface system that's here in the E-Class for the first time. Part of the, don't call it a Hyperscreen, Super Screen, dual screen setup that's here in the dashboard. Touch the home button here and you can see a pretty familiar interface, at least something that will look familiar for anybody who's using iOS out there. Definitely a little bit of Cupertino inspiration happening here. You can swipe left to right to go through some different icons for different things, and you'll see some familiar looking things on here, like Angry Birds. Yes, Angry Birds, that's right. This is an app that we probably got sick of, most of us, I don't know, a decade ago, but now you can play it in your car. You can't really see it right now, but it actually integrates both with the seat vibration here, that I can feel a little bit of the bass and the collisions, the explosions, the excited birds coming through my lower torso, and also the lighting that surrounds me as well, pulses and surges based on what's happening in the game. Adds a little bit more immersion to a pretty familiar looking tunnel for most people. TikTok is available here. I can watch some TikToks. You can record TikToks here using this integrated camera. No one's been able to tell me the resolution of this thing, but we can show you what it looks like here in the Zoom app. Yes, I know, everyone's favorite app. There, now you can see me, and I'm actually going to move and get into a normal driving position, and you can see that I'm still well within frame. In fact, if someone comes by and picks their head in the window, you can actually include them in the meeting as well. This, though, is disabled while the car is in motion, which is a very good thing. You can still continue on your meeting. You can even host a meeting while you're driving, but if you do that, both the camera and the display will be disabled, so you won't be able to see the face
faces that all of your employees are making at you as you're driving your Mercedes-Benz to work and dialing into the call with them. But when you are stationary, as I am right now, you can actually go through and even do whiteboard drawings on here with your fingertip if you want to, which is actually kind of a nice feature. I don't know how many times I've had to zoom into meetings and from my phone in the car, and it's really an awkward experience. Overall, this is a really nice experience. It's not quite as overwhelming as the giant triple screen, hyper-screen setup that we see in the S-Class, but with a good selection of apps to begin with, and surely more to come. It's some nice technology. A few other points that I'd like to make about this is that while that passenger display can be used for watching movies by the passenger, the car is actually smart enough to know if I'm looking at it, and it has basically a dynamic privacy filter that it can turn on or turn off. So if my eyes start to wander over to the passenger there, it'll actually black it out so that I can't see it, but the passenger can still see the passenger display over there. Some of the cars will also have a 3D display here behind the steering wheel. This one does not, but it has a 3D head tracking basically so that it can do a stereo optic imaging sort of technology to make this look like it's in 3 dimensions, even though it's just a 2-dimensional display. But honestly, that's just kind of eye candy, certainly not something that you would actually need. And the final thing that I want to talk about is that this car does have digital vents. If you're familiar with a Tesla, for example, you know that you can move your vents around by using the touchscreen, which you can do here if you want to as well. But crucially, and a wonderful thing, Mercedes still includes physical vent control, so I can still just reach down and move this vent around where I want to without having to go to the touchscreen. But it will remember my position for the vent in the car, so if someone else gets in and drives the car, maybe my wife takes it to work, when I put my seat back where I want it will move the vents back to where I want them as well, and that is a beautiful thing. Annoyingly though, while I have physical vent controls, I don't have a volume knob. They got rid of the volume knob. That's a bummer.
A few other new features in this year's car include an improved driver assistance system that will automatically change lanes based on traffic and navigation, which works remarkably well even in thick traffic, using the 360 cameras and other sensors in the car to spot gaps. Mercedes has also added a feature called routines, which is a little bit like if this then that, where you can tell your car to, for example, automatically turn on the seat heaters and adjust the HVAC output if the external temperature outside the car falls below a certain figure. Mercedes says that in the future, these routines will be auto-generated by artificial intelligence, so get ready for the robot overlords to take control of your cabin temperature.
We don't have formal pricing from Mercedes on the new E-Class yet, but expect it to start somewhere a little bit north of the current E-Class, which starts in the mid-$50,000 range right now. However, it's not coming to dealerships until sometime in early 2024, which means for at least the next few months, you're going to have to do your TikToks the old-fashioned way. Let us know in comments what you think about the E-Class. If you would like to have a car like this, do you want a selfie stick in your car? Let us know down there. Make sure you like and subscribe, and check out Engadget.com for lots more car news and tech news too.